If you change the past, you also change the present. The thing about life is you are going to stumble along your path. You are going to make mistakes. However, while you are trying to take this path we call life, and you stumble and make mistakes along your way, you can either do one of two things. You can let your mistakes define you, or you can reflect and learn from those mistakes. So that way, you no longer keep repeating those same old mistakes. The thing about mistakes is everyone makes mistakes one way or another. Some, of course, may be bigger than others, and some may be smaller than others. But the thing about mistakes is as you are going through life, take responsibility for your own actions, for your own choices. Because the moment you can take accountability for your choices and take ownership of your own choices, that is how we start to not only learn from our mistakes, but become better because of them. As you continue this journey called life, you are going to make mistakes. And depending on the path you choose to take, you are going to make many. And again, depending on the path you take, you might make more mistakes than most. But the thing about mistakes is you must continue to learn from them and improve oneself. Do not let mistakes define you. However, do let it be part of who you become. Reflect, learn, and grow. You know you are growing as a person when things that used to bother you, things that used to trigger you, things that you experience today that your old self would be bothered by, or your old self would react to in a negative manner, and you have those similar or same experiences today, and they no longer faze you. They no longer get a reaction out of you. That is how you know you are growing as a person. When you are continuing to grow and to learn and to discover new parts about yourself, you are in the moment. You might have reactions and you are going to have to self-reflect from those actions. Like maybe you are going to be in the middle of a life event where it is going to get a reaction out of you, and you are going to have to self-reflect after that experience and ask yourself, what can you do differently to have a ultimate better experience for the next time? Not just for those around you, but for yourself. What can you do differently? Let's just say if someone was talking politics was the first thing that came to mind. Let's just say if someone's talking politics and you may happen to disagree with what is being said and you have a reaction towards such thing. After that reaction, self-reflect. Mainly when you're by yourself. For me, that's what I do, is self-reflect from your past actions. Not just with this context or this situation, but with just about everything. Self-reflect. What can you do differently to have a better experience? Or what can you do differently that maybe it wasn't so much of a bad thing of whatever it is you did or reacted or said, but maybe what can you do differently to ultimately have a better experience or a better reaction, or something that you could have said better or worded differently. Things like that. When you have self-reflection, is huge when it comes to growth. You have to self-reflect a lot and really ask yourself, some of life's tough questions. Like you are where you are ultimately because of your choices and your actions. You know, life's events are going to happen, and you are going to have to self-reflect off of your attitude and ask yourself, how can you improve your attitude for the next time that same experience may occur, or a very similar a situation may occur. You are going to have to self-reflect and improve and learn from it and grow from it. Now, you know you are growing as a person, again, when things that used to bother you, trigger you, get a negative reaction out of you. Whether it's externally, meaning within the outside world, or whether you keep to yourself and it's internally, you keep it in here within your mind. You are going to have to self-reflect and grow and learn. Let's just say again, if something happens and you may react, you know, that's an external reaction, and ask yourself, was that really necessary? Did that really deserve a reaction? And if it's internally, meaning maybe something is being said that you may disagree with, or maybe a life event is happening, whatever it may be, and you want to react, or it's bothering you, or it's triggering you, maybe it's agitating you a little bit. Like, my disability is one thing that has a very plays a very big factor when it comes to my mental health, because my disability is not only unpredictable, but my disability has the potential is not the right word, but my disability has a way of making today a little bit more harder, because of my fatigueness, because of my strength. You know, like, I just made a video talking about how I was struggling quite a bit with my fatigueness, and I had to adapt in ways that I hadn't had to do so in quite some time. I made a video talking about that recently, and that really can get to you mentally. Now, of course, over time, now me being where I am, and me having the growth that I've gone through and overcame and conquered, in a sense, I have a lot of things that used to bother me and trigger me and agitate me, again, in this context with my disability, it no longer phases me so much. Sure, some things may get to me a little bit, you know, that's normal, but note that situation in this context no longer gets to me like how it used to. And what I'm trying to say here, and the reason why I brought that up, is because there are going to be things that are going to mentally trigger you and agitate you and get to you mentally. And you are going to have to find a way to self-reflect off of what's going on in here and work through them. And ultimately, simply work through them and work on. If you can remember anything from this video, I want you to understand this. In order to grow, you are going to have to self-reflect from who you are and where you are. And when you self-reflect, the only person that should be in this equation is you. Because it is ultimately you that can get you to where it is you want to go, or it is only you that can get you to, it is only you that can put you where you are, and it is only you that can get you to where it is you may want to go. Before I had received my injection, I was struggling quite a bit. Now, the thing I had to ask myself, is it really your SMA, or could it possibly be other things? So I had to take a lot of other factors and possibilities and bring it into the equation. And for me, and I'll give you an example as to what it is I mean here. So for example, is I was on and off feeling under the weather with my respiratory. Respiratory is my breathing, my lungs, things like that. So I was struggling for a bit with my respiratory. And so because I was on and off feeling under the weather, I had to take into an account that because just like anyone, when they're feeling under the weather and they're not feeling 100% their best, or 100% at their healthiest or at their normal, you are going to feel sluggish, fatigued, tired, things like that, right? That's just with anyone, whether you have a disability or not, right? So I had to factor that into equation. Okay, Vic, so is it really your SMA that is making you fatigue? Okay, yes, it is a possibility. You are getting older. That is a huge possibility. Okay, again, I was feeling under the weather. Can you feeling under the weather make you fatigued, make you be feeling the way how you're feeling? Yes. Okay. What else? Sleep. Have you been sleeping? And I had to answer that. And I had to factor in and take a lot of different things into account, and again, bring it into the equation and overall give myself the answer. So for me, the way I was feeling with my SMA was concerning. And I say my SMA because I'm talking about like my mobility with my fatigueness. And I was struggling for quite a bit, and I had to adapt to a lot of my normal daily routines and living in ways that I haven't had to adapt in a very, very long time. So because I had to adapt to certain things, like brushing my teeth, feeding myself, picking up a cup, even handling my phone became a really big challenge. Operating my computer became a really big challenge because it takes some form of strength to pick up this hand, for example. For some, this comes effortlessly, right? For me, it becomes a bit more challenging. Now, this isn't the greatest example, it's just the closest thing to me. But let's just say if this was a little bit heavier, now it becomes much more effort to pick this up. Now, to put in perspective as to how my fatigueness feels, is just picture, move your hand up and down, okay? And it's normal, it's effortlessly. And picture you maybe having like a 5-pound weight on your wrist. Now try moving your hand. You're going to feel that weight, potentially, right? Depending on how strong you are, just picture a stronger weight, and you're going to feel that weight in the struggle. So, and of course, when in the very beginning, it might not be that much of a big deal, but maybe do that for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. What happens? It's going to be a lot harder to move your hand, right, with this weight. That's how it feels. That's like the best or the closest analogy that I can think of to explain how it feels when I talk about my fatigueness. And I can't speak for everyone with SMA. I am just talking about my own personal experience and my own perspective. I guess, yeah, not really perspective, and my own way of explaining how it feels. That's like the closest thing I can explain it. Anyhow, so how am I feeling after the injection? So before the injection, I was struggling a bit, and it was concerning, because again, I haven't felt that way in a very long time. So after the injection, again, this was before the injection, so now let's fast forward to after the injection, after my Spinal injection. How am I feeling? I am feeling a huge significance, a huge progress that I am very fortunate to be feeling how I am feeling. Very, very fortunate for that. Because again, I was not really concerned. I guess concerned is probably a good word. Concerned for a little bit. However, I know it's a possibility. So, it's you have to accept certain things. Though you have to accept the cards you're dealt, and you just have to play play your hand in the best way that you know. Anyhow, so how am I feeling? How am I feeling after the injection? I am feeling, again, huge significance. I am feeling progress, feeling great, feeling a lot better, which is a really, really good thing. These past few days, I woke up a little bit congested, but nothing too concerning. I'm feeling a lot better today. I'm able to brush my teeth a lot better, feed myself a lot better, handle my phone a lot better. I'm able to be on the computer a lot more, or operate my computer the way I would like without so much restriction. And yeah, so I wanted to document this video and again, make an updated video on how I am feeling after the injection. Now, someone had asked me this before, and as I was thinking about making this video, I reflected off of that person, and I wanted to mention this in the video as well. Now, after I received the injection, do I instantly feel, or how did they said, after you receive the injection, how long does it take for you to feel the effects or the benefits of it? Now, when they had asked me that, I said, it takes about a few days, maybe a few weeks. Okay. Now, I didn't take into account, am I or am I not feeling under the weather during that time frame? Because again, that's going to play a factor. Because that's going to play a factor if you're feeling under the weather. You're going to feel fatigued. And just like anyone, when they're feeling under the weather, they're going to feel fatigued, sluggish, tired, drained, they're going to feel like they have to recharge in a sense. For me, and I thought about it because I never really focused on it. I never really paid attention to it. After this injection, I would say it's like about the following day, I was seeing the progress. I was feeling the improvement. I was feeling a lot better. I was feeling the progress and the improvement after the next day, the following day. And so I wanted to document that too and mention that as well. And yeah, after the injection, nothing abnormal. It's always a headache. These headaches have been a little bit more these past few days, but nothing abnormal or too concerning. I've had worse headaches after the injection, which is a side effect, and it is expected. And yeah, I wanted to document that and mention that as well. But yeah, so I'm feeling a lot better after the injection. Again, I was struggling for a bit. It was concerning. Again, I had to factor in a lot of different possibilities, take that and take other things into consideration. And yeah. Oh, and two, if you're not spiritual, this part's not going to be for you. But if you are spiritual, even two, prayed a lot. I said a lot. And not only did I pray, I held the faith that it is possible that tomorrow could be better. And that faith happened to pay off because that tomorrow, I did feel better. I wanted to mention that as well. I love you. I appreciate you. And remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.